Hey everybody, so I needed to do a quick video today because I'm really tired and work has been crazy, so we're gonna do a tier list, I think. This is a tier list of every weapon in the entire Devil May Cry series, and I don't know, I don't really have anything else to say at all, so let's just go ahead and get it started, I guess. I'm with two other people here, if y'all would like to introduce yourselves.
Oh,
Now, in terms of, my general know-how with DMC, I've played all of them, obviously. I have not beaten the reboot, and I have not beaten Lucia's playthrough of DMC 2. But in terms of my general understanding of the rest of the games, it's pretty high. I've played the good games in the series on repeat a lot. Yeah, like I said, let's just not deliberate anymore. Okay, so, Devil's Sword Dante. What are we thinking on this one? Is it it's Dante's penultimate weapon in DMC 5.
what's the ultimate weapon?
Well, this is it. Penultimate was the wrong word, I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, okay. um,
It's basically just a sword, right? And this is
Pretty baseline.
It is, but also I think baseline is like a strong contender for pretty good, right? Because like if you're gonna have a weapon in DMC, and especially a part of Dante's kit, it basically needs to do everything that you want it to, right? That's kind of my thing.
A, probably.
I'm not opposed to A, right? And my thing is that I feel like a lot of tier lists make people mad all the fucking time, if I'm being honest, right? That's how tier lists work. But I'm thinking either A or S because specifically whenever it comes to DSD, I'm not a big fan of the design. I think it's kind of generic and kind of dumb, and it doesn't incorporate enough of Force Edge or Sparta or Rebellion in its design at all. There's a mod for DMC5 that I have on all the time where it's alternate DSD designs, and one of them changes the hilt to have Force Edge's hilt, and it looks better to me. I think it matches way more. So with that, we'll say S tier. I mean, we'll put it. I'll put it in S tier. I think that's fair. Okay.
So, what is the basis of the tier list? Like, what do we? Is it just
Oh, yeah,
how
I
cool
got-
it is, or is it like how effective it is?
It's basically how much we like the weapon based on all of its factors that make it good. So if you think about a game like DMC2, all the weapons in DMC2 are gonna get a pretty rough, I don't know, time with this whole thing because it's DMC2, basically. But I don't know, if you just like how one looks, that's totally fine. If you like its lore significance, that's fine too. I mean, it's the rules are mostly just loose. It's like, how cool do you think this weapon is? How much do you like it? Okay, next one, Pasta Breaker. This is a joke breaker for Nero, which is one of his replacement arms in DMC5. It is a reskin of Helter Skelter that does less damage, way less damage, and it is used to forcibly cycle your other Devil Breakers. I don't care. I like the balls of Capcom for making this a joke item, and for that it gets a higher. It goes higher on the tier than I think it probably should, but I don't know if you could see it all that well, but it has like forks and scoopers.
Yeah, there's like
and
spatulas.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really cool.
I want to see Nero try to eat
I don't know.
Me too.
That would be great. I feel like we can't put it higher than like B or A.
No, you're right. You're right. I never use it in any context. I used it once personally. I want to say C tier. I think C tier is fine.
Yeah, probably.
Because like it's just kind of there taking up storage space on your hard drive after the first time you use it and have a laugh at it. Same thing with Monkey Business, which is also Helter Skelter.
Oh, no,
And
it's just bananas.
it's just bananas. I think this one just heals you or something. I don't even remember what this does, I'm gonna be honest.
C's probably good, yeah.
C's probably fine. It's okay, so that's good. We're blowing past this pretty fast. There's a lot, by the way. There's a lot of weapons in DMC, like a ton. So we have to try to go through this kind of quick, I think. Okay, V's Cane from DMC5. It's the only weapon he uses unless you want to count his familiars, which I don't know if you want to equate that, the cane, to also coupling with V's familiars, which, if you want to, I guess that's fine, but for me, it's just a cane. I don't like how V plays. It's a fine distraction from Nero and Dante's playstyle in DMC5, but I never want to play as V again after doing it for my, second playthrough.
It was fun for the first couple missions, and then just like,
Right, see, that's kind of the thing I think everybody sort of agrees on, as far as I know. Maybe there's some really hardcore V stands out there, but dog, I really just don't give a shit. I
That being
don't.
said, I do feel like it deserves a higher placement because it's like the staple for V. So I wouldn't argue
you are
with like
right.
A.
No, okay, I'll say B tier because, like, it is iconic to V, right? That and his weird
Yeah.
sleeveless,
It
like,
would be
jacket.
insane if we put it in the same tier as the Blaster Breaker. And
No, you're
Musketeers.
right. You're totally right. I think that's absolutely reasonable. Okay, this is a big one. Yamato from DMC5. How are we feeling on this thing? This doesn't need any introductions, I don't think, at all. You said triple S. Which, okay. Fair. Caden, what do you think?
I mean, it's got to be one of the top 3 tiers, I have to say.
Reasonable. I also believe so. The thing is with Vergil's playstyle in all of the games, from 3, 4, and 5, his playstyle is basically identical, and he doesn't get any new weapons with any of the games, like, at all. So it's going to be pretty repeaty, but this is the best iteration, in my opinion, of what the Yamato is. So I think by nature of that and the fact that it's, you know, the katana that can make dimensional portals and junk, it goes in triple S. Because, I mean, come on. It's crazy. Alright, so, Beowulf from DMC5. Wait, hold on. Yeah, that's Beowulf. Okay. This is Vergil's gauntlet weapon. So again, sticking with Vergil's general sameness of playstyle, it's his punchy, hikiki. The color changes whenever his motivation gauge is at a certain level. It goes from light to dark, and it's pretty cool.
personally, S.
I really like Beowulf. Yeah, I was going to say S.
I like that because this is not my favorite design of Beowulf.
Okay.
See, the
Fair.
thing that bothers me a lot about DMC5's design for the weapons is that a lot of the more inherently demonic weapons have a sort of, like, plated or, like biologically plated or scaly design, and I'm just not a fan, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I like it whenever stuff is just made of metal. I don't know. It looks the part in some ways, and the DMC3 version, spoilers, possibly is probably going to go up a tier because I just like how it looks better. Okay, so Mirage Edge from DMC5. So this specific list is kind of weird, right? Because this is a render of Mirage Edge from DMC5, which is Vergil's Force Edge moveset. So his moveset, it sort of mirrors Dante's with Dante's style of sword. This is a summon sword, which is a different thing. It's Vergil's gun equivalent, but this render, I happen to know because I'm a fucking nerd, is from DMC3. So despite this is counting for DMC5, this is a DMC3 render. These look like the same swords. This is his gun because of the summon swords. This is his actual weapon, and it is also a summon sword. I also mod this to look like Force Edge because I think Force Edge is like a peak sword design in all of video gaming, honestly. How do we feel about it?
My immediate instinct was to put it in A.
Fair, I think. See, the cool thing with DMC5 Vergil is that all of his weapons have what are essentially ultimate attacks. So you know how Judgment Cut End is a thing that Vergil can do in all of the games, and they're always sick and they're always cool. He has an equivalent for that for Mirage Edge. I can't say those words together. And Beowulf, and those are sick. You have to have your I think it's actually called like focus or something, but I'm just motivation gauge. You have to have your motivation gauge maxed out for it, so you have to build up to it. You have to play like Vergil to get it up to that level, and I think that's really cool. I think S personally, I think.
Sure.
Because
I
again,
wouldn't argue with that.
Because again, it's fine. Ethereal sword is reasonable, but man, I just want it to be a metal sword. Okay, summon swords from DMC5. Vergil's one and only gun equivalent for his playstyle. The cool thing that I like, I say that a lot, I'm going to probably say it this entire time. The cool thing for me with any summon sword in any of the Devil May Cries that Vergil gets to use is that it's sort of like Vergil has his own playstyle, right? It's obviously very different from Dante. It's more like deliberate, and you have to basically like embody edgelordiness to be able to play right. But a thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about is that with the advent of the summon sword, you kind of also go for like a spellcaster kind of like playthrough. And what I mean by this is that your advanced techniques with the summon swords cost Devil Trigger, which is a deliberate design decision, I think. And I kind of love that. Which is why I kind of think also their summon swords and summon swords are cool. I think this is one of the better guns in all of DMC. It's also in DMC 5, which is the peak of combat design in my opinion, so I think this is going to get like one of the S's for sure. How are we thinking on this one? I need to scratch my nose. You put that down as I scratch my nose.
Also S?
Also S?
That is kind of what I was thinking.
I want to do double S at least.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, that's fair. Because, like, I don't know, just like if you want a gun with depth, it's the summon swords. Alright, so, this is interesting. This is Yamato from DMC 1. I didn't actually know this existed until I did my RTLG on Devil May Cry 1. And you only get this sword whenever you beat the game on its hardest difficulty in the original version and play as Sparta. This doesn't work like Yamato does in the other games. It's a reskin of the other swords in Devil May Cry 1. But it does, emit the blue lightning like Alistor, which is cool. I don't know if it has... I'm pretty sure it has a Devil Trigger. I've actually never used the costume before, personally, though. But this is the canonical first time Yamato appears in the series, but nobody really talks about it because I don't think anybody really got that alternate costume for Dante in DMC 1. So it puts it in a weird place, I think. So, I don't know. What are we thinking?
Haven't used. I don't know.
Fair. There is also a haven't used tier. That's what this question mark is, of just like I don't know and I couldn't give an opinion. It's a DMC 1 sword, and DMC 1 has a lot of swords. And it kind of gives me the vibe of like it's cool to play with for 10 minutes, but ultimately I'm not going to care all that much. But it does have like legitimate historical significance with the rest of the Yamato appearances in Devil May Cry. I think maybe
sounds
B.
like either. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like either a B or an A situation.
Okay. So here we go. This is going to be... we're probably going to get through this very quickly. DMC 2 time. So, this is Rebellion in DMC 2. Unfortunately, this is the canonical first appearance of Rebellion in the DMC series, and it's a part of DMC 2. Here's the thing, right? DMC 2 only has 3 melee weapons. They're all swords. They all function completely identically, and there's no point of using any of the swords other than Vendetta, because Vendetta does the highest damage, and the only perk you're getting is that the rest of them have reach. So, Vendetta's the shortest but highest damage, right? And there's not really a point even in using the melee weapons, because DMC2 guns are stupid. That's what everybody memes about whenever they talk about that game. But again, we're dealing with the historical significance angle, for as unfortunate as that is. So, Rebellion DMC2. How are we thinking? 'Cause this one's a weird one. This is a weird one. Yeah, it's a little hard to see. I think the renders on DMC2 specifically are really bad. That or they're just not, like, iconic. I don't have an image for them in my head, right? And it doesn't really look like Rebellion either, right? Like, there's no skull decal on it. It's just kind of like a... there is?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's how little I know about DMC2.
It is like 128 pixels of a skull.
It is. Okay. D tier? I'm thinking D tier. I'm gonna be honest.
Doesn't stand out too much.
It really
So,
doesn't.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
Okay, Stiletto. Another DMC2 sword. It is the lowest damaging sword in the game. Not a good start. Highest reach. it's worthless. It's going into D tier. There's nothing else you could say about it. Nobody seriously uses stiletto. It's a really long sword, which is kind of a vibe, but it's a DMC2 sword. Not a fan, personally. I don't like it. I also have, okay, so Vendetta should probably go a step higher, but it's going to be the very last in C tier, because if you want to take DMC2 seriously for some reason, then you pick Vendetta. It is actually a usable sword. When you have it, it is the only thing you equip. Then again, I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so I need to check this real fast. If I have the information right, this is Ebony and Ivory from DMC2. So, like I said, guns in DMC2, big goofy damage. It's the correct way to play the game is just to shoot everything to death. Like, no comboing, no nothing, you just mash your hand on the trigger as fast as you can until the health bar gets depleted. Which means it's effective, but it's one of the contributing reasons of why, or as to why, DMC2 is such a lame game.
How does that game handle range? Like, can you shoot just, like, from the back of the boss arena and just, like...
Yeah, no, literally, that's what you do. Like, that's how it works. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. I don't know if anything in DMC2 should get a particularly high rating, like, at all, honestly.
Do we have other variations of Ebony and Ivory in this tier list?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's Ebony and Ivories for every game. It's just, this is the one for DMC2. They're kind of lumped together by game. With whoever made this tier list, because it was not me that made it, is there credits?
Possibly that individual?
Possibly this individual, I believe. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, so... Man, I don't know. It can't be high ranked. Yeah, I'll put it in B, because if you want to play DMC2 for science, then just use Ebony and Ivory, with the exception of these MP5s, which I'll go ahead and put 1 up. Because instead of having to mash the button, you just hold the button. So... You know how DMC has a manual and automatic mode for whenever you fight, and if you set the game to automatic, doing so makes it to where you don't have to tap the button as hard to be able to fire. They made automatic a gun, and it's the dual MP5s. Okay, so we also have... Yeah, so we have a shotgun. I'm gonna keep calling these sawed-off shotguns the Coyote, because that's kind of the canon name that DMC5 came up with for the sawed-off shotguns in DMC, and I think it's a cool name. It's a DMC2 gun. It's okay. I don't know. I don't think the damage is quite high enough. It's used for cheese strategy in a couple of bosses, but like it has range fall off, and that means you could technically die in DMC2 if you use it at a close range. I think C tier. I think C tier is reasonable. Okay, rocket launcher in DMC2. I don't know, C tier. It's kind of funny, but it's... Whereas, you know, the pasta and monkey breaker monkey business breakers were, like, fun for 10 minutes on one mission, this is fun for about 15 seconds because you shoot a rocket, and who cares? Okay, so I have nothing to add for these 3 weapons here because they are Lucia's weapons in DMC2. I've heard the opinion that a lot of people prefer to play as Lucia if they do play DMC2, because it's kind of her game and her story. And she prefers using dual swords or dual daggers, however you want to call it. And I assume, because I've never even booted up that disc before, I'm going to be honest, the disc 2 for DMC2, and I'm thinking in terms of the weapons, it follows the same rules that Dante's weapons do. So this looks like the heavy equivalent, which means it's probably fine. Well, I'll set it here, because we'll do this because I have no idea how these actually perform, and I want to move off of DMC2, which we still have a couple. The only Lucia playthrough I have even seen was a really long time ago whenever I was a kid, and I watched an entire playthrough with, like, the culmination of that playthrough having about I don't know, maybe 40 views across the entire series on Daily Motion of all things, because nobody played DMC2 yet on YouTube. And I was looking for, like, some information of, like, well, what's DMC2 play like? And I thought it was minutely interesting, but I was also a kid. Okay, back to good games. DMC1, Alistor. I adore this weapon. I think it is absolutely
Alistor
sick.
is very
It's
cool.
a big lightning sword. It's sick. It's fast. This
cool,
weapon
yeah.
is so sick. I want to see it show up in more games or referenced more. I'm going to put it in double S because it's kind of just a cool lightning sword. But man, this is like iconic to me specifically. I love Alistor. Okay, we're back on DMC2 for a little bit. This is again Lucia's gear. So we have what looks like throwing knives for her standard projectile. These I know splinter off into threes, little throwing needles. Again, they're probably fine. It must be your shotgun equivalent. I believe this is a water-based weapon, like in DMC1. So it gives you water combat. And I actually know that these are cranky bombs, because these specifically stuck out to in my head as a kid, and I think they're neat. They're little bombs attached to strings. So like, think of Sheik's neutral special in Smash Brothers, where she uses a little vortex bomb.
Yeah.
That's basically what these are, and I think
Lucia
that's kind
does
of
just
neat.
kind of have Sheik vibes.
A little bit. I think a little bit for sure. I don't know. I think...
Is that Nightmare up next?
Yes, it's Nightmare. Nightmare
Okay,
Beta
that's what I
from...
thought.
Ooh, DMC2 Nightmare Beta. I don't remember this being in... What? Wait. I don't remember this being in DMC2. Wait, what? Hold on. Well, it has to go a little bit higher for the reference, I think. I haven't used it, but I'm putting it a little bit higher because it must be pretty neat. Oh, you know what? It might be Trisha's weapon. Yeah, okay, so Sparta does not exist in DMC2 unless you're playing as Trish. It's okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm thinking this is going to be, like, the lowest of B tier, because I happen to know that Trish's playstyle is just DMC1 Dante, but in DMC2. Including her delay combos with the million stab and the alternate, like, ending slash for the combo. Which means she just plays better, I think. Same thing with Lucent Umbra. I don't know if if this is also called, if that's the name for these guns in that game, but that's what we're gonna roll with. And I'm sure they're fine. It probably should go higher, actually, because it's a DMC2 gun, so I'm sure it's also wicked powerful. I actually don't... that voice crack is bad enough to stay in. I actually don't know. You might be able to use round trip with Sparta and DMC2. Possibly, maybe. That would be cool. Anyway. Okay, DMC3. So, Rebellion in DMC3. The actual appearance of a proper rebellion in a Devil May Cry. The good one. Let's say... It's another Devil May Cry sword. Good Devil May Cry swords cover all of their bases, but they're really not that visually interesting or really have that much going on. So, for me, I'm kind of going off of the moveset, I guess. A thing that sticks out to me is that instead of having Prop Shredder, this has some sort of weird, like, drill pierce move, which is weird and different and interesting. Especially considering that Round Trip does exist, but it's for Vergil's moveset whenever he's using Force Edge. It's just weird. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's a good sword, though. I feel like we need something in A tier, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna make people mad. I think that's gonna make people mad.
In what way? Like, would they want it higher or lower?
Much higher, probably, because it's
Okay.
Rebellion in DMC3. It's one of the most iconic weapons in one of the best DMCs. Like, I don't know.
I mean, we have plenty of stuff to go. I feel comfortable putting it higher.
You are right. I do like its design because it's kind of chunky, right? Like, I don't know, it's kind of cool. I really like the more blockier looks of the other weapons in the older DMCs. I feel like specifically DMC5 kind of nerfed the design of some of the returning weapons, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'll put it in Triple S. We'll say Triple S. Because, I mean, I don't know. It deserves it, I think. Okay, so Cerberus from DMC3. This is a 3-headed nunchuck that uses the power of ice. It is very cool. It's specifically good at doing multi-hit attacks, and I don't remember the name of the move, but there's one move that's specifically very good at parrying enemies by basically coating yourself in winds of ice and turning you into a snow globe, and it's very cool. I think it's an A tier, possibly. I think the A tier being empty is fucking with me. It's fine. I certainly use it whenever I beat Cerberus on mission 2 or 3, one of those missions, and at that point I like it because it's another new weapon in DMC, but I don't know. I just like Beowulf in DMC 3 a lot, and it's what I usually use whenever I'm playing DMC 3. For me, it's Beowulf and Rebellion, and I just kind of use that for the rest of the game. Let's also... Okay, so Ifrit from DMC 1. I am in a tough spot with this one because I think this is one of the absolute peaks of hand-to-hand combat weapons in Devil May Cry. But my problem with it is that it's relatively simple because it is in DMC 1. A game in the character action genre, one of the first games in the character action genre, and as a result, it has not found its footing for being a skill expression heavy weapon, or game for that matter. Every attack of this weapon can be charged, which is awesome and makes it feel really good. I just really, really like Ifrit. I think the design is really cool. It's like 2 dragon heads taped to your arms, and they look sick. They're all metal and stuff. S tier? Let's say S tier. I'm gonna say S. I think S is fine. Okay, Agni and Rudra from DMC3. Twin broad scimitars that use the power of fire and wind, respectively. These are so cool and so underrated, and I think out of all the weapons that people want to have show up again in a Devil May Cry, this is the weapon. Or these are the weapons, I guess. It's the same problem that it has with Alistor with me, where it's just kind of like it's just a weapon in Devil May Cry. Don't get me wrong, I do really like them, but I don't think they're really all that, like, I don't know, pivotal for the identity of DMC3. That being said, A tier. I'm gonna say A tier. I think they're fine. I definitely do want to see them show up in a DMC 6 in some way or somehow, and I think that would be cool. Okay, Navan in DMC 3. This is a guitar that can transform into a scythe that also uses lightning powers.
I do like Navan.
Navan is awesome, but man, you would not catch me dead using it. Like, the moment you whip this thing out, unless you're using Swordmaster with some moves, it parks your fat ass right in the middle of the battlefield, and you can't do shit about it. You have to come in with a plan. You cannot just whip this thing out and just start jamming on it. It does not work. It's the highest damaging devil arm with no setup whatsoever, which is definitely worth, thinking about and considering. Boo, man, I don't know. I
feel like my vote for it would be A.
I would put it pretty high.
Yeah, for sure.
But to balance out gameplay, because it's ass, probably E, A, or S.
I don't know if I would call it like ass necessarily with terms of its gameplay. It's
okay,
just...
You just said it parks your ass right in the middle of the room. That sounds pretty fucking detrimental.
Well, and it can be, except for, I don't know, DMC3 is a smart game with a bunch of individual little things going on. Okay. So, like I said, if you come in with a plan, then you'll know how to use Navan in the correct circumstance. I would not bring this thing in to fight Vergil, which I know somebody did for a whole minute, and that was hilarious. You also got really, really far when you did that.
I think it's cool, but I don't think it deserves like a super top spot. I'd feel comfortable putting it in A.
A is fair. I think A is fair. Okay. So, Beowulf and DMC3. This is what I was talking about. Look at how cool these light and, for Dante, light gauntlets are. So, just to highlight real fast here, right? This is specifically Dante's iteration of Beowulf. I'm a big fan of all the gauntlet weapons in every single one of the DMCs, and I think Beowulf is either just above or just below Ifrit for me personally. You can charge most of the attacks, and I'm a really big fan of light weapons in video games not feeling like stupid, dainty little toothpicks or whatever. These things pack a punch. Like, these are mean, and it literally, doing a real impact feels like you're smiting somebody, like straight paladin smiting, and that's awesome. I think it has to go pretty high. And this is also, DMC3, in my opinion, is the point in the series where Devil May Cry was a lot more aware of what it wanted to be and how it wanted to play. So I think, like, both conceptually and gameplay-wise, it should probably go higher than Ifrit, because, like, this is the identity that Devil May Cry has cemented itself into, right? And I think that makes sense. I think double S. I think double S.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, that works for me. Okay, Ebony and Ivory in DMC3. So, I don't know, it's Ebony and Ivory. They're fine. Gunslinger style is not a style that I particularly like using, but the thing that I think all of the Ebony and Ivory iterations in DMC3 onward like doing is that they specifically focus on giving you more tools for doing combos. So think about like Rainstorm or Honeycomb Fire, and stuff like that, which I do really like. It's just I really don't use Gunslinger all that much whenever I'm playing the game. I only ever use Swordmaster and maybe Royal Guard if I feel like parrying, or whatever, or Royal Releasing.
What would you say is the best variation of Ebony and Ivory?
Weirdly, the DMC4, honestly. And I'll get to that whenever we get to DMC4 Ebony and Ivory, and it's for a really, really stupid reason.
Okay, because I was going to say, I feel like Ebony and Ivory, in some capacity, deserve a top spot. In my mind, they're just, like, so synonymous with, like, Dante's whole personality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're totally right. They're certainly good, right? I don't know. I feel like being nice to these things and putting these in triple S for... I have no actual idea why. Like, Ebony and Ivory's weird to me because I just don't really like using the regular fire on them. And whenever style switching was introduced in DMC 4 and 5, that's kind of when I just started to actually use the firearms in Devil May Cry. I don't know. I think this is reasonable just because these feel good and they sound good and they're cool and they're Ebony and Ivory.
Yeah.
Okay, so the shotgun, the Coyote A in DMC3. All the shotguns in DMC3 or in Devil May Cry are awesome, except for maybe you, I guess. But I actually do like using this one. So with me in DMC3. I don't use guns all that much at all. And whenever it comes to me having a preferred weapon in DMC3, because I can't do style switching unless I'm playing a specific port or I'm modding it, I think picking the shotgun is the best equivalent for me as a Swordmaster main, because it gives me a quick and reliable option to create distance between me and an enemy if I shoot them point blank in the face. And that has its uses, depending on whether or not you want to switch to a ranged combat style with a melee weapon, and I think that's valuable, honestly. I want to say it's not the best shotgun, for sure. I will put it in S tier. I think S is reasonable. And its spot in S is also, I think, pretty good.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Alright, so... Man, my heart goes out to Spiral. It is a 50 caliber sniper rifle that exists in DMC3 that nobody uses, and it specifically is one of the three weapons in DMC3 that basically turn Dante into that kind of sort of mage playstyle if you're using Gunslinger. Now, no, that doesn't mean you consume Devil Trigger whenever you use this thing, but one of the abilities you get with Gunslinger, I think it's literally its level 1 attack, is having the bullet ricochet across the entire room and hitting as many enemies as it can. It just finds angles to home in on enemies, and that's really cool, and it feels good to use. It's just, there's not very many applications where I really care all that much about it, I don't think. But it's a brave choice to have. and I want to see some version of this show up again in a DMC used by some character.
It at least seems cool.
It's really cool. It has the typical misgivings of a heavy caliber weapon in a video game where the fire speed is not particularly fast.
Oh, yeah.
I also think
Unless you're playing COD.
I also think it's one of the only weapons that you can't use if you are airborne, which is a huge problem, obviously. We have a couple other weapons like that in other games. I don't know. I'll put it in right in the middle of B tier here. Because I feel bad for this rifle. I really do, because I want to see something like it again. But it needs to be done differently for me to be able to care. It's not a misstep so much as it is just kind of whatever. And I don't know, I kind of feel bad about it, honestly. Okay, Artemis in DMC3. Now, if you want to talk about a weapon that turns Dante into a mage with Gunslinger, several of the attacks of this weapon actually do consume DT in order to use its more advanced techniques. You can do a point-blank, like purple orb to do a multi-hit attack on enemies. You can do a version of Rainstorm that fires a bunch of lasers into the air, and they surround Dante. You can obviously charge your shot by just using the regular fire. Artemis is awesome and kind of underrated, and I think if you're a person that mains Gunslinger in DMC3, you're probably using Artemis. And that's cool. I think, once again, that adds to a lot to the replayability value for DMC3, because it's like, oh man, this thing is like, this is a bundled enigma of different things that I can do. And I don't know, I think that's cool. That being said, it's not something I find particularly iconic, so I can't put it in an... I don't know if I want to put it in an S tier. Maybe it's A.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, it's more usable than Navon, so I'm putting it right here. Kalina Ann is also a pretty wickedly advanced weapon in Gunslinger style for DMC3. It's not the best version of Kalina Ann. It feels good to use, though. Big rocket launcher with a crazy bayonet. It has a grappling hook attached to it. This weapon's cool, and it actually is iconic for a gun because it belongs to another character. That, I don't know, just Lady likes to pawn it off to Dante sometimes in most of the games for some reason. But I'm not like I'm complaining. See, for me, I think if I'm not using the Coyote in DMC3, I'm probably using Kalina Ann. Its projectile's a little bit slower, which is problematic, certainly. But it also is one of the few guns that has an AoE potential because explosive payloads. And that has its own value, I think. Yeah, DMC3 is also kind of Lady's game, though, too. So, I don't know, in terms of her first appearance and giving her, you know... sort of like if I saw just a silhouette of Lady, I see her carrying the Kalina Ann, and I specifically see like a vague outline of the DMC3 PS2 graphical style, and I think that should raise it up a couple points for me personally.
Yeah, I feel like here I'd be fine with A or S.
Yes, we'll say S. I will put it... Oh, man. We'll put it... Well, I'll put it right here. I'll put it right here. Right in the middle S tier. Sounds good to me, I think. Okay. Speaking of characters making their first proper appearance, the Yamato in DMC3. So we already covered the best version of Yamato in DMC5, so this is going to be a downgrade in terms of mechanical value. However, in terms of design and obviously the first appearance of Vergil in DMC, it kind of complicates things. Weird thing for me, I specifically really miss the little yellow tassel that it hangs on the end of the katana, because like in DMC5 it's black, and I don't know, the yellow was like a weird, cool standout thing that I really like. And in terms of if I were to picture, you know, Yamato in my head, it would be the DMC3 version of Yamato. Man, I'm hitching. I have no idea where to put this.
I feel like it just makes sense to put it in S.
Okay, S, but double S, though. No.
I was chuckling at the idea of just putting it in double S. Whenever you first said it, I nose laughed a little.
Okay. I'll put it at the very top of S tier. This is probably another one that's going to make people mad, but just like, I don't know. going purely from game feel, there are better versions of Yamato, despite this one being so important for the idea of Vergil. Okay, Beowulf in DMC3, but Vergil edition. He has a couple of different attacks, and specifically when he uses it, there is purple and black highlights intermixed with the white light of the weapon itself, which is to sort of reflect his edgy, dark nature. It's cool. It also showed us that both of the Sons of Sparta are capable of turning devils into devil arms, and that's not a skill exclusive to Dante, which is super cool. Vergil's entire combat style is a lot more refined as opposed to Dante, and that is specifically highlighted with weapons like Beowulf, and also with weapons like Force Edge or Mirage Edge, because there's kind of like there's a parallel you can draw with similar, or in this case the exact same weapon, just being used by different characters. And that's also really cool to me, and it's one of the reasons why I think people need to look a little bit harder on character actions as a genre, because you can do, individual character details by not saying anything and instead letting their actions speak by way of letting you control them. And this is a specifically pretty huge candidate for me. Unfortunately, this is the first out of 3 appearances for Beowulf, and we already covered one. Its design is better. I'll put it in double S. I think double S is fair.
Purple black highlight, cool.
Yeah, and Vergil gets all of those anyway with any time he uses Beowulf, so it's a thing. I think double S is fine because it's not the finest rendition of this weapon. That it's fine. I think it's fine. Okay. So, here we go. Sparta in DMC1 is one of my favorite weapons in all of video gaming. I have said it before, and I'll say it again. I love me a good ugly-ass meat sword. I think this shit's cool. I like Soul Edge for the exact same reason. A weapon like this should not exist, and also, this thing can transform into a spear and a scythe depending on what attack you're using.
Don't take meat sword out of context.
Please don't take meat sword out of context. Oh man, I'm a little bit up in the air in this one. I'm putting it in triple S. I'm vetoing. Because like it's ugly to me in an endearing way. Like, man, does this look like a PS2 ass model? But I love that shit. Okay, similar reason. Force Edge in DMC3. Vergil is the only character that can use this weapon unless you're using an alternate skin for Dante after you beat the game and use Dante's DMC1 skin. I am assuming, because this is a gameplay, difference, this is actually talking about, or this is specifically portraying Vergil's use of Yamato, or Force Edge in DMC3. In which case, like I said with Beowulf's differences between Dante and Vergil, Force Edge is basically Vergil's answer to what if Vergil but Rebellion instead of Yamato. And the cool thing is, that dude still whips out Yamato with some of the attacks. Now, personally, I'm a huge, huge fan of just how this weapon looks. Like, I think it's really cool. I specifically really like designs that are more subtle than anything. It's just a metal sword, and it's kind of plain, but if there was any weapon I would sort of want to have IRL, it would probably be Force Edge. Because it just seems reasonable, right? And I don't know, it's not garish, and it doesn't particularly stand out. But I don't know, I kind of like that about it. Like, I'm not a person who prefers overly designed things, and this is just subtle enough for me. So, now it is Summon Swords in DMC3. This thing is basically, it follows practically every single one of the same rules as it does in DMC5, and there is exactly 0 gameplay differences with it. Unless I am wrong, I'm pretty sure every move is exactly the same. And for that reason, I'm going to put it a little bit higher because it introduced us to Summon Swords as a concept for Vergil being his gun equivalent. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just a sucker for crunchy PS2 graphics where you can clearly tell what's going on, despite it looking a little bit ugly. And the fact that the Summon Swords are just Force Edge, but like an ethereal, glass-like energy version is cool to me. Okay, we're moving on to DMC4. So, Red Queen. This is Nero's... that's his sword, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I was losing my mind. So, Red Queen is Nero's one and only melee weapon in DMC4, in any of the DMCs, actually. It is a curved blade with an engine on it that can propel him through the air through I don't know why, but it's awesome. Nero's entire playstyle is a lot more brutish by nature, and I'm gonna just say I'm kind of a fan of it. I have a specific memory of watching the DMC5 trailer, which I know this is a different game that we're talking about, but I have a memory of watching the DMC5 trailer and seeing Nero's gameplay, and then him just bashing the shit out of demons with this thing. And I was like, Nero is my fucking spirit animal. It's like, I don't know. The thing is, Nero's playstyle in DMC4 feels inherently limited because DMC4 was a little bit aggressively rushed in places. And especially on repeat playthroughs, you kind of feel that. Nero doesn't come into his own until DMC5, and I think that's highlighted with his playstyle in this game and with this weapon. I will say, it's a brave attempt, so there is that. It's gotta be an S somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But where, though, is my thing.
Before or higher than Kalina Ann?
Yeah, because, like, I don't know. People have their misgivings about Nero as a character, but, like, I don't know. And I think...
My first DMC, I didn't finish it first, but I played it first. And
right.
I had a good time.
I don't know. Nero's... I think Nero is a good heir to the, like, main character throne of Devil May Cry because he's grown a lot, and having his introduction be shown in the way that it is really healthy for the franchise as a whole. Blue Rose, Nero's one and only gun in DMC4. It is a twin-barreled heavy revolver that fires 2 bullets at once, and the only thing notable about it is that it double attacks enemies. It doesn't stagger very good because it's basically just ebony and ivory, except for it's only 1 gun instead of 2. Notably, Nero's charge shot is one of the best charge shots of any firearm in Devil May Cry, period. Having the delayed explosion is awesome. Turning on Devil Trigger allows you to juggle enemies by having tiny summoned daggers fly just after the initial attack. And also, it's, like, in terms of starting guns, it's one of the highest damaging firearms in Devil May Cry. I'm a big fan of Blue Rose, personally. I think this thing is cool. So I'll put it in triple S, or double S. I'll put it in double S. Well, the end of double S. I think that's still a high honor to give it.
Yeah.
Nero's Devilbringer in DMC4. This is going in triple S because grabbing enemies with a crazy blue demon arm is so viscerally fun. And I kind of miss having iframes whenever you do it to any and every enemy in the game. Like, even bosses, if you can get them staggered. I think this is just so cool. And again, it sort of adds to my point of Nero being a healthy inclusion to Devil May Cry as a series because he just plays and acts so differently as opposed to any other character. Okay, Rebellion in DMC4. I really, really like how this thing looks. Its design is a little bit more, like, emphasized with its angulariness. Like, comparing these two side by side, the blade sort of bows out a little bit, almost cartoonishly in DMC4, and something about that is just pleasant to me. I think an underrated aspect about Devil May Cry 4 is also just its sound design, and Rebellion sounds good. Like, when you're fighting Dante in the 2 or 3 boss fights that it happens, like, hearing this thing swoosh through the air is genuinely kind of scary. When you play as him, it sounds good. Like, I don't know. I do think it should probably go lower, though, because it's a good, but maybe not all that impactful iteration of Rebellion. We'll say end of double S. I think end of double S is good. Okay. Gilgamesh in DMC4. This is Dante's hand-to-hand combat weapon of choice in that game. it had properly introduced us to distortion punches, which is my favorite mechanic. You know how I was talking about how real impacts with Beowulf feel like you're smiting an enemy paladin style? This is like basically just ripping them at the seams, like line by load, stripping them of their code from their game file. Like this, doing a distortion punch with this thing is awesome, and its weird, like, tempered purple into orange into red look is awesome, but maybe a little bit much. I don't think I would want to see this specific weapon reappear in a future game with the newer graphics, but in terms of a 6th generation console game, this thing looks awesome.
Can't you distortion punch with Beowulf in 5 for Vergil?
You can, it's just really nerfed.
Oh.
In this thing, if you distortion punching in DMC4 one-shots bosses, yeah. It's really silly.
DMC, or, yeah, wow, DMC.
DMT.
at the same time.
S tier. I'll put it in S tier right there. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you go. Lucifer in DMC4. This is... what is there even to say? I think for a lot of people, in terms of the good Devil May Cries, this is everybody's least favorite weapon. But what I don't think a lot of people realize is that, for one, this gives us some idea of what Dante would look like if he uses summon swords, because if you notice, a lot of his attacks are similar to Vergil's summon swords moves, just appropriated with a weird weapon that can make spikes explode. It's extremely technical, and I will admit that. I think the only people who seriously use this thing are people who do crazy combo mads, where they do delayed explosions and trigger it on enemies and such. I have no strong feelings for this weapon personally, but I know that you do.
It's like a needler, but you can juggle with it.
Yeah, basically, and like, I don't know, that's cool. It's just, it's too technical for me to give a shit at all. Where would you put it? Where would you put Lucifer?
I'm gonna say double S.
Double S?
First,
okay.
I whip it out.
There you go. Oh, okay. I'll do the end of double S so that I don't get absolutely just, like, pitchforked and torched at our house. I'm trying to make people mad with this one. Again, I respect it, and I think its inclusion is good as a weapon that is natively high skill floor more than anything else. It's a brave choice again, and I think that's fine. Ebony and Ivory in DMC4. This is going in triple S. I think this is, personally, talking about making people mad, I personally think this is the best iteration of Ebony and Ivory in any of the Devil May Cries. The reason for this is, again, because of the sound design, because of the effects. They are cartoony, they're kind of anime-y, they sound a little bit like DMC1's firing gunfire, but just like better and more HD, if that makes any sense. I was specifically really mad at DMC5 for nerfing the honeycomb fire, because using honeycomb fire in DMC4, which if you don't know what that is basically just mashing the fire button in Gunslinger as fast as you can to like grind down enemy health bars, and you can literally make enemies slowly fly in the air with it. And I miss how it was. I miss how it was in DMC4. And for that reason alone, I think it goes in triple S, because it sounds good, it looks good, it feels good. It's just my favorite version. Okay, so we also have the Coyote A of DMC4, Dante's shotgun, yet again. I'm a little bit more mixed in this one. DMC4 has some really cool guns, and I don't know if I personally care to actually use the shotgun in DMC4. Dante has a lot of options. It's the advent of style switching, so you have ways to close the gap, make distance, reposition, and do a bunch of other crazy stuff that are no longer needed by the Coyote. And I think that's sort of emblematic to this version of the Coyote being kinda outdated or made obsolete in parts. And I don't know. The swinging it around your body like as if it were like a nunchuck is awesome, but I think you can do that in DMC3 anyway, if I remember correctly.
It's definitely in 5.
Right. Because that's just funny, right? It's just cool. Okay, this is... I believe that's... Force Edge in DMC1. It looks kind of funky with this resolution, though. I'm going to say that it is. And once again, I just really like the design. I think I'll put it in the end of S tier. And my reason for this is because it is literally just a sword. You do not get Devil Trigger with it. There's a lot of significance with it, which is why it's as high as it is, but it's not the highest because it's not the strongest, coolest version of Alistor, in my opinion. I don't know. It's fine. A weird thing about DMC1 is that reach kind of is a noteworthy thing, specifically because of Sparta in DMC1. A lot of its attacks get extended because it's a spear scythe sword, and that's sick. And Force Edge is kind of stubby. You're not going to use this thing after you get Alistor. That's how it is. And that kind of sucks. But again, if I were to find one, like a scale model of one in the real world, I would absolutely display it on a wall somewhere. I think it's sick. Okay, Pandora in DMC4. This is the Dante version of Pandora. Pandora is awesome. I want it to reappear in other games. It has 666 different forms of what firearm it could possibly be. And this is, again, the gunslinger mainstay in terms of the guns of Devil May Cry, specifically with regards to Devil May Cry 4.
Personally, I did not like it.
You did not like it?
No.
Okay, because I enjoyed the shit out of it. It has a comparable stopping power to Gilgamesh and Beowulf in DMC4, which is a crazy, insane sentence to say because it's not true, except for it kind of is when you consider that it is a firearm and the firearms are weaker. So it's a firearm trying its best to be a showstopper damage-dealing weapon. I like its charge mechanic. I like how you have to build up a meter to use its more advanced attacks, and I think it's cool. I want to see it show up again. I lament the days where everybody was theorizing about Ladies' Night in DMC5 and having this reappear for Trish, but there will be more on that here pretty soon. I think it goes in A tier because it's not what I would call iconic, but it is fun. Although, if I wanted to turn my brain off and just play, a simpler game of Devil May Cry, I probably would pick something else. Okay, the Dark Slayer style in Devil May Cry for Dante. So, obviously, Dante using the Yamato is a crazy image that is awesome and should not be slept on. Unfortunately, it is severely limited. I think the only things you can do is a single aerial rave. I think the first or maybe the full combo, the full A combo that Vergil can do, and you can do one judgment cut with it. And it's fine as a cool unlock, but it's, again, one of those weird emblematic things of Devil May Cry 4 feeling kind of rushed because it really should feel more special being in Dante's hands. You could make the argument that, well, this isn't Dante's sword, that's why he's not as good with it, and that's reasonable to say. But for me, man, I don't know. I don't use Dark Slayer with Dante, even in a game where you have active style switching. I don't see a point, personally, and maybe that's just me not applying myself, but the image alone of Dante using this weapon does go in A tier, though, I think that works for me. I feel like I'm stealing the show a little bit with putting weapons in tiers. Okay, Yamato in DMC4. This is the point where I think Vergil as a character, in terms of gameplay, does come into his own. And there's a lot you could say about Yamato in Devil May Cry 4. Including... Well, actually, I don't know. We've already talked about Yamato a couple of times already.
Yeah.
And I would just be repeating myself at this point. I think it's factually better in terms of gameplay than DMC3, because it kind of has to be, right? It's a newer game in the series, and there's more you can do with the weapon. But it's not It's not the first showing of this weapon. However, again, because this is how my brain works, whenever I imagine Yamato, just sitting around in the real world, gathering aura as a weapon by itself, I imagine the DMC4 version specifically because it's more detailed, it looks better, and it still has the yellow tassel at the end. Okay, Beowulf in DMC4 for Vergil. So the design on this thing is cool, and it's also a little bit more muted with black as opposed to its DMC3 counterpart. Probably to better reflect Vergil's, once again, edgier design. This thing is cool, and it's sick, and it's good, and it is factually more advanced than the DMC3 counterpart. I'm putting in triple S, or double S, because it's... no, Beowulf does need to go in triple S, I think, because I really like these weapons. But where, though? The end of triple S. Beowulf in DMC4 goes at the end of triple S, and I think that's pretty reasonable. It's just like, I don't know, like I've been saying, DMC4 is not the mechanical peak, but in terms of the balance between what I prefer in design and mechanics from gameplay, DMC4 takes the spot for me. I just wish I wish DMC4 was more finished and more... had more going on with it. I'm glad the deluxe edition or the special edition exists so that we have all these different playable characters. Then that's fun. It gives us some different things to think about. Okay, moving on. Force Edge and DMC4. I don't know. Again, it boils down to the sound design. I'm gonna put it ahead of the DMC3 Force Edge. Because the swooshing of the C combo with both of the attacks, or both swords of Yamato and Force Edge, and it's the one time to me that Vergil kind of loses his cool and just starts chasing an enemy down, swinging wildly.
Oh yeah, that's a cool move.
And yeah, it's kind of reflective of like maybe Vergil is there's cracks in his armor, and it shows with specifically this weapon. It's particularly punishing whenever you miss and his motivation gauge does not gain because you have no real way of stopping the move whenever it comes out. So if you plan to use it, you got to plan for it, despite it looking so cool and maybe you wanting to spam it, because I know I sure did. Oh boy, okay. DMC4 Summon Swords, it's another Summon Sword. I think it goes in the end of Triple S again, or the end of the row here. I really like the Summon Swords for Vergil, but I don't know. It's the in-between of DMC5's complexity, DMC3's introduction. I don't even know if I say they look the best. I think they look the best in DMC3 because they're more like visually clear. You can tell that the summon swords are supposed to be like facsimiles of Force Edge. And I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. Okay, so Lady's dual pistols in DMC4. Lady is a character that's basically a heavy ranged gunfighter, which is not everybody's cup of tea, but I personally find it really funny and really fun because she does a bunch of damage with basically all of her attacks. A lot of her moves are sort of outfitted to be Dante gunslinger moves, but more focused on... Or now they're bound to your like regular buttons that you would press instead of like circle or B or whatever. We'll do double S. I'm trying to speed this up as quick as I can. We still got a ways to go, but the rest of this is gonna go by pretty quick because it's the reboot and I haven't beaten the reboot at all. DMC4 Kalina Ann.
Just dismal everything.
Yeah, basically. DMC4 Kalina Ann. The Kalina Ann in Lady's hands makes her a absolute monster. Doing a fully charged shot with just the regular attack of the Kalina Ann will like kill a handful of the bosses in 8 shots. Lose my voice. And that is cool. It's her style is a lot more deliberate. Basically, anytime you bring this thing out, it will park you down again like Navon does, but see, now that I say that, I feel like Lady's iteration of the Kalina Ann is like what the Navon should have been. We'll put it, I'm going to say highest A. I think highest A is reasonable. I mean, that being said, playing as Lady and Trish are the two very different styles. And it's weird because it's just different, right? It's a huge paradigm shift, and that's kind of why people don't like playing as her all that much. And Trish gets a bad rap because she's so similar to Dante in all of her movesets, but again, we'll get to that whenever we get to that. Okay, the shotgun in DMC4 for Lady. This has introduced us to the idea of a shotgun stinger, and I think that's awesome. So you dash up to somebody, stick the barrel of the gun in a demon's mouth, and then pull the trigger, and they fly away, and it's genuinely so much cooler than shish kebabbing somebody with a sword. It's really cool. I don't know. I think Lady's version of the shotgun just completely blows Dante's version out of the water. I think this is sick. But how sick is it? We're gonna say double S. Here. I'm gonna put it here. Okay. Sparta and DMC4. This is Trish's only weapon in DMC4. So, for those who are not aware, because I figure a lot of people watching this video have only played DMC5, Trish's moveset is completely analogous to Dante's melee fighting style, with the difference being that Trish's moveset in DMC4 likes to focus on using round trip with Sparta, to the point where it's a part of the HUD element to see a timer for when Sparta returns back to your back and you can use it again. When you are not, I have to itch my face, sorry. When you are not using Sparta and it's just out blendering some demons, you then instead use Trish's bare knuckle style, which is her just punching things with her yellow lightning. She has a version of Dance Macabre or Kick 13 while the weapon is out, where one of the only unique animations for Trish is to half transform the Sparta into the scythe form and proceed to swing a demon who is in the air like a golf ball, literally like using it like a golf club, and that's good. I think that's funny. We need more canned animations in the Devil May Cry series that do things like Dance Macabre, because I think that's just like really cool. Like I don't know. That being said, in terms of the most forgettable style of gameplay in DMC4, I think it easily goes to Trish, because it's kind of whatever. It's like you could make the argument for Lady, because it's like, well, Lady, you know, is I don't like playing as Lady, but that's kind of the thing, is that like you specifically remark at not wanting to play as Lady, whereas with Trish it's like, it's fine, I guess, and you might do one playthrough with her, if you just don't like how the two girls fight in DMC4. I don't know, I'm a fan. Once again, I think it's a brave attempt at changing the design, and I wish we got Ladies Night in DMC5. I don't know what that leak was about whenever that came out, but man, I just I don't know. We haven't put anything in A in a while, and B is looking pretty anemic, but I don't think, maybe it's a B. Highest B tier. I will say highest B tier, because it's just kind of whatever, right? I like the design of the Sparta in DMC4 a lot, because it's still got that crunchy PS2-ness with it, but just, I don't know. It could have been done a little bit better, I think, to make Trish stand out more with her combat style. Ebony and Ivory in DMC1, we have to put this in Triple S tier. It is iconic. It's not the best in terms of gameplay, but that's because Devil May Cry 1. I don't know, that's all I got. That's like, I don't know. That's like, I don't know what else to say about it. Doing the charge shot with Alistor or Ifrit is kind of like a secret mechanic that the game does not tell you about, which I do think is pretty cool, but in terms of depth and complexity in gameplay, that's pretty much it. Which if I was more objective, I would put it a little bit lower, but like, I'm a DMC fanboy, so I'm putting it in Triple S. Luce and Umbra from DMC4. This is Trish's dual pistols. They function identically more or less to Ebony and Ivory, and Trish's pistols in DMC4 all the same, just she has less options with them. They basically just gave it to her to give her a ranged option. And I think it's probably one of the more lackluster weapons in DMC, I'm gonna be honest. It goes to the top of C tier because at least it's a usable weapon in a good game for the most part, but it's not, it's pretty forgettable. Okay, Pandora in DMC4 for Trish. So, for some reason, the people over at Capcom, because I assume they were out of ideas when making the special edition version of DMC4, decided to give Trish Pandora as her secondary ranged option. I don't know why they decided to do this, but as a result of that, I kind of see this being a completely canon weapon for Trish. I don't know, just something about that is just correct in my head, and I don't know how else to feel about it. I know you're not necessarily a fan of Pandora. You have expressed that, but I don't think you also played as Trish at all. Right? She has less options than Dante inherently because she can't style switch, and as a result, maybe I will say that her using Pandora feels a lot more focused as opposed to Dante. I will put it in S tier. I think S tier is fine. Okay. Ooh, hey, do you have any water?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I need to take a break from talking. So, DMC Devil May Cry. The literal only time I played this game was during the DMC Devil May Cry drinking video, and what you saw at the end of that video was the extent I have played of that game. I'm not a fan of it. I have not even tried to go back, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no want to go back. And, I don't know. I know it has its fans, and it's factually more a playable video game than DMC2. So we're gonna just kind of blow past this as quick as we can, right? So let's start us off here. I don't know what these little stars are. They're going in unknown tier. I don't know what the fists are. Unknown tier. I don't know what these are. Unknown tier. I didn't know there was a shotgun. We're putting that there. I don't know what this is. We're putting that there. I haven't used Yamato in the remake, and I haven't used Summon Swords in the remake. Okay. There's that. Hey, look, the list looks so much cleaner now. I should scroll this back up. So now we get to the stuff that I actually have used in DMC Devil May Cry. Rebellion sucks. It does not feel good to use. It's kind of weird, even when turning on turbo mode. It doesn't feel right. Yeah, the combos are bullshit. I will never forgive Stinger being double tap forward like we're playing some sort of Nintendo game where you have to, dash first by pressing a direction twice.
Or Street Fighter or some shit.
Yeah, like I know it's Capcom and they have
forward X.
I know it's Capcom and they have a fighting game pedigree, and that's where a lot of the DNA for the comboing happens in Devil May Cry, by in a sort of by proxy way. But I don't like it in this game. I also don't like this game for the same reason. Arbiter sucks to use. It is slow, it doesn't do enough damage, it does not feel good. I am a person who prefers heavy weaponry in any game that I play when given the chance. I did not like playing Bayonetta 2 until I got the creepy, three-bladed scythe, and now suddenly I'm playing the shit out of that game. Because that's how my brain works, and it's a little bit broken, I'm going to be honest. So my biases are weird, and sorry if you happen to really like Arbiter. I don't. That being said, in a weird twist of fate, Osiris is kind of awesome, and I want to see it appear in other games. We don't have very many pure scythe. We don't have any pure scythe weapons in Devil May Cry at all. Unless you're counting Navon and Sparta, but even still, they're not weapons that are, 100% scythe all of the time. I kind of like how just weirdly visceral this weapon feels when you use it. It's very fast, it has a bunch of multi-hits, and it screams whenever you swing it for some reason, and it's kind of sick. I really like that. I think that's kind of awesome. Ebony and Ivory, I hate this. I hate these weapons for the cutscene they show up in alone, and I'm not putting them anywhere else. The shotgun in DMC1. I don't know why this appeared here. I must have shuffled stuff around for a sec. Back to we're a bit of a palate cleanser for games that are actually good. Sorry, DMC Devil May Cry fans. I put this in the same ballpark as I do the shotgun in DMC 3 because it's sort of like a space maker, right? It does a decent amount of damage. It gets enemies off of you if you need to make some space. And I don't know, the reload animation for all the shotguns, it showed me that breaking it open and flicking it back closed is kind of sick. And I don't know, I think that's really neat. I don't think it's really all that impressive. I find it really weird that it's one of the few very missable weapons in the original Devil May Cry, because you have to go into that library area and break the desk and have it revealed to you. And you could totally miss it. I missed it on one of my replay playthroughs as a kid because I completely forgot to pick it up. I was basically just speedrunning through it, right? And I forgot to grab it. I was like, oh, where did the shotgun go? And then I didn't remember where it was. Weird misstep, weird growing pain and hiccup with making a character action game, but oops. Okay, Rebellion in DMC 5. So here's a pretty iffy pick right here. I'm gonna put this in B tier, specifically because I despise how this thing looks. The Rebellion in DMC 5, gameplay-wise, and I'll get back to my original point in a second, has been kind of shafted because of the other swords in Devil May Cry 5. Like, it's kind of... the odds are stacked against it in a lot of ways. It's your starting sword as Dante in DMC 5, in a game where you have Sparta, where all of its mechanics still appear in the same places. You can do... its round trip, which is capable of blendering enemies, and it has its stinger, which has a hyper extension because it turns into a spear, and that's cool. Alternatively, Rebellion in DMC 5 is just a sword. I'm not a big fan of either of the swords in Devil May Cry 5 because there's no real point in using them unless you want to do some crazy combo stuff with the ultimate full custom unlock you get at the end of the game for Dante. In which case you can do things like having multiple round trips going out, and that's kind of cool. I'm mostly just kind of mad that they took away drive and overdrive from these weapons, and I think it's really weird. I don't know why they got rid of it. Okay, so Balrog in DMC 5, I think should be a high A tier. The reason for that is because it is the most unique out of all the fist weapons in Devil May Cry 5. It's sort of... Huh?
You want to put a low S?
I can put it low S. I like that. I like low S. Right behind Ifrit, because fire punchies are cool, and I feel like these two should be brothers. Maybe not by like demon blood or whatever, but like I don't know, maybe they fought in some war together or something. My thing with Ifrit or with Balrog in DMC 5, I like how it's just in Dante's inventory for no reason, and you have to do lore entries and research to figure out why Dante has a fist weapon when you first start playing as him. I think that's funny. It's really weird. And it seems like they didn't know where to introduce Balrog as a boss, so they just didn't care to. And I don't know, I just think that's kind of funny. It's not like a good thing, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't ring particularly wrong to me.
One of the weapons he didn't sell for pizza money.
Right, probably because he didn't have enough time to. Like, so in terms of the use case for the Balrog, I really like how you have to charge it by using either its fist version or by either punching or kicking. I think that's cool, but it does mean that this weapon is inherently, like I said, micromanagey, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea either. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to use if you hyper-focus on using this weapon for a while in conjunction with a sword. You can really fit yourself into a niche of enjoying this weapon and all of its capabilities. It's not like the biggest showstopper in terms of damage for Dante's arsenal, but I do think it's pretty up there. It has a real impact. It has a kick 13. It's all pretty good. Okay, moving on. Sparta in DMC 5. Man, It is meat sword, but it looks like it's molding. I don't like it. I hate the design of the DMC 5 Sparta so much, and I wish I was just saying this for content or whatever, but it just looks bad. I don't like it.
I think there were some swords in Arcade that looked similar to that, and you had the same disdain for them.
Did I really?
I think so.
Okay. Maybe that was some weird, deep-seated, like, disdain I had. I don't know, man. I feel bad for putting a Sparta this low, but at the same time, it's just... It's not Devil Sword Dante, which... Oof, right? And then also, I just don't like how it looks. I don't like how limited it feels. I don't like how it feels exactly 0% more powerful than Rebellion. That's weird. That's weird to me. Okay, so we're gonna knock these out real quick. Cavalier is fine. Cavalier R is better. The reason I say that is because in Swordmaster form, you have a gap closer with both of these weapons. The Cavalier R is a deluxe edition exclusive. And the gap closer comes out like frame 2 or 3, as opposed to the Cavaliers having a long startup animation. And I like that better personally, so that I could just immediately close the gap by being one giant hitbox. It's like a Super Stinger, except for you are one big sword. I think all of its animations are tuned up to be quite a bit faster just in general. And I don't know, I kind of feel like they should have just made Cavalier that way from the get-go instead of locking it behind a deluxe edition version of this weapon. It's just weird. I think that's really weird. That, and then also it looks better. The red looks cooler than the gray. King Cerberus in DMC5. Let's put this in the smack dab in the middle of A tier, right? Or S tier right here. I think this is a really good natural build-up of what Cerberus showed us from Devil May Cry 3, having it to where it can transform into different Asian weaponry, with the nunchucks being 3-headed, and then you have the chained together sectional staff, and then you have the bow staff. All of which doing different elements, having different applications, and doing different things. This weapon is not quite an enigma. But yeah, no, King Cerberus, I like this factually better than Cerberus in DMC3 because of what it offers in terms of the rest of the Dante's kit, again, because it's DMC5 and it likes to do that. I don't have anything else to say. The fire bow staff feels good. The sectional staff is the weirdest part of the kit, its entire moveset. But if you can figure out how it works, it's kind of awesome. And if you're familiar with DMC3, you have an immediate advantage in using its ice nunchuck form. And that's cool. I think that's a unique thing to this weapon in this game. Okay, the rocket launcher in... Whoa, hold on. I don't know how that got desynced. The grenade gun in DMC1. I said rocket launcher, I apologize. It's arguably the best gun in DMC1 if you do not mind sitting still to be able to use it. I know there is speedrun tech to make it to where you can fire the gun much faster. It is the natively highest damaging gun in DMC1. I want more explosive firepower weapons in Devil May Cry. I want more heavy caliber weapons in Devil May Cry. I just think that would be cool. And I don't know, the grenade gun was a humble beginning, and this gun walked so that Kalina Ann can run. And I don't know, it's gone but not forgotten, and I'm a fan, but it's not my favorite. Ebony and Ivory in DMC5. I'm gonna reveal it's B tier. It's forgettable. It's one of the most forgettable iterations of Ebony and Ivory for me. I have a couple of weird, again, design problems with just Devil May Cry 5 in general. Not because they look bad. I think in terms of like having a cool 3D model of these guns, they look great. But like, what happened to the sounds? You had it perfect in Devil May Cry 4, and then you ruined it, and my honeycomb fire doesn't feel good no more. I can't assume that Dante does all that much gun maintenance or gun cleaning. Maybe he leaves that to his gunsmith, right? I forget what her name is right now, but man, and that's why I have Ebony and Ivory and DMC5 here. Its sound design does not feel as good. These guns do not feel good. I don't like the gimmick where whenever you switch to Gunslinger, one of the guns is meant for power and the other one is meant for rapid fire. It throws me off of my game. I'm still not used to it. It has not been preferred iteration of this weapon, of these weapons in the Devil May Cry series. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, I'm putting this in C tier, honestly. They are more usable. But yeah, they kind of top of C tier. I was excited to see them. Can I put it there? Thank you. I was excited to see them in Devil May Cry 5, but man, I was disappointed, and I got more disappointed as time went on with these things. Ooh, okay. The Coyote A in Devil May Cry 5. Finally, I can say something good about this game. I love this shotgun in Devil May Cry 5. So, you know how I was talking about how breaking the weapon automatically reloads a shell, which is weird, right? Because where do the shells come from? And Devil May Cry 5 felt the need to answer it by having 2 magazines fed underneath the gun that automatically load into the barrel every time you break it. If I was a gunsmith and I could legally make this thing, I would make this in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? Mag-fed, sawed-off, double-barrel shotgun. That's so cool. I think this thing is awesome. I was looking at it in the model viewer because I'm a DMC nerd when the first time I played, and I was like, this is the smartest design. It barely makes sense, but, like, man, it's like, oh, it's just so cool. I specifically have huge beef with Nico because she called it, like, kind of just like caveman shit, basically. But like, fuck you. This is ingenuity. This is intelligent. I like this. It makes some sense if you don't think about it too much. It's just cool. I just think it's cool. Okay, calming down a little bit. So Kalina Ann 1 from DMC 5. We're gonna knock these 3 out real quick. Fine, but not great.
Neil Goldstein.
Yeah, that's her name. That's Dante's gunsmith. Nell Goldstein. Yeah, that's her name. She's the one that made. That's why in the Devil May Cry anime, why Dante's guns kept breaking. He doesn't have Ebony and Ivory yet because she's the one that made them. Anyway, so Kalina Ann's, the 1 and 2 by themselves is not great. I don't like them, but that's because you're not supposed to. Double Kalina Ann is awesome, and it goes in... let's put it in double S tier. Dual-wielding rocket launchers is just stupid enough that it is exactly my kind of thing. And all the things you can do with the Kalina Anns is turned up to 11, or possibly 20, because now you have 2 of them, and that's goofy. Yeah, no, the lasers are cool. I wish they did more damage, though. The Hysteria multiple micro rockets is awesome. Interchanging your shots by moving the rocket launchers up and down and having them under your armpit firing is awesome. Once again, because they're rocket launchers in DMC, they kind of keep you still whenever you use them for most of the attacks. And that's fine. They're good guns. I think in terms of explosive firepower in the Devil May Cry series, this is the best iteration of them. These are sick. I like these a lot. Okay, Dr. Faust. I think that's the name, right? Dr. Faust DMC5. I want to like this more. The meteor is cool. It's basically a pay-to-win weapon, except for it's, again, going for a mage playstyle, but finally for Dante, and in a weird way that doesn't rely on Devil Trigger. It is instead reliant on red orbs, and that's kind of a brave choice. It has certain setup things you can do with it, like having the red orbs orbit around you, having the rapid fire with the gun attack, like you said, the meteors are good. Marking enemies to where you have like a gamble risk reward feature with like putting little hats on all of the demons, which is ridiculously funny every time. I'll never get over it. That's great. It's personally too technical for me to care most of the time, though. If I'm casually playing DMC, I really don't need red orbs because I have everything already. and B, I don't know. I haven't worked in the muscle memory to really care about this weapon, nor do I really have any expressed want to do so. And that's kind of where I'm at. Red Queen and DMC5. Once again, Nero's Sword of Choice. It's good. It feels good. I feel like Devil May Cry 5 is Nero's game. He's obviously the protagonist in it. We don't play as Dante until the half-ish waypoint. And in terms of doing this weapon justice, they absolutely did it with this game, and I have nothing more to say on it. All the reasons I like this weapon and Nero as a character, the Red Queen being kind of emblematic of Nero as a character, it stands to reason. It's just everything is better now. I think this weapon is good. I actually think it's one of the weapons that look better in DMC5 as opposed to DMC4, but I could go either way with how they're designed in either game, honestly. I like them for different reasons. The curve of DMC5 Red Queen is a little bit more pronounced, and I don't know, it's a different feeling, and I'm not opposed to it. Okay, so the Blue Rose in DMC5. Nero's only gun. Oh man, middle A tier. And the reason I say that is that because you don't get anything cool you can do with this weapon until the last fight of the game. And I know that, I obviously am aware that DMC is a series that prides itself on mastery of the mechanics, and if you only play DMC 1 on your one and only playthrough, you're kind of doing it wrong. And Nero as a character in DMC 5 shows that particular aspect in strides. They tried to do something to sort of cover up how limited the weapon is by making it to where you can load in special ammo for Blue Rose. On top of that, whenever you beat the game, you get all of DMC4, Nero's DMC4 moves with it again. So the Devil Trigger Micro Summon Swords, the explosive payloads with Demon Energy that have a delayed explosion when they, actually trigger. And I don't know, it just feels like a weird downgrade for the sake of the story, and that's why I don't like it as much. It seems to me like a necessary evil for telling that story with that character, to make Nero feel weaker and have his stats sort of reduced from going from DMC4 to DMC5. It just kind of sucks that we had to lose something so good up until you get it back again. After you beat the game, it's perfectly functional again, and for that I am glad, but I never really fired the gun all that much in DMC5 until I did get everything unlocked, because I missed the explosions, I missed the summon sword juggling. Okay, so Devilbringer in DMC5, Nero's regular hand that you get after you beat the game. Where did I put? It's in triple S. I'm gonna set this. No, this goes pretty low in S tier, I think. Yeah. To keep it short and sweet, I miss the iframes from the DMC4 grabs. And for as overpowered as it kind of was, I don't know, being more deliberate definitely makes it feel more like a video game that I'm playing instead of a movie that I have to stop and watch 20 seconds of, but like, I kind of miss that in a weird way. I might be the only person that feels like that, but like, I don't know. I don't like it as much. I also think the look goes harder in DMC4 because of course I do. Okay, so we have a lot of breakers to go through. Let's try to get through the breakers as fast as possible because this video is about to be 2 hours long. This is Overture. Overture is awesome. So, Overture is the answer to the Devilbringer by way of its applications are the same, but instead it's used in like about 1 second time as opposed to being a couple seconds of a canned animation. For that reason, it fits the gameplay style of DMC5 much more, and I happen to quite like it. I also like its breakaway move. I think that's what that mechanic is called. where you plant it on an enemy to make it explode. So there's, risk reward value. You can do up to 3, and the damage gets higher non-linearly with how many Devil Breakers or Overgers you put on an enemy. And again, it's up to 3. You can detonate it manually by firing at it. There's depth with this thing. It's a good low skill floor Devil Breaker for Nero, and it's just mechanically advanced enough that other people, or that veteran players, will still get a kick out of it. Let's put you here. Okay, so Gerbera, we're going to put this B tier. Yeah, I'm not gonna be mean to you though. You can go ahead of DMC2. Gerbera GPO 1. Just feels better to use. Oh, yeah. No. There's minute differences between Gerbera and Gerbera GPO 1. That being, their colors are different. My favorite color is red, and the red effects coming from Gerbera GPO 1 is awesome. It's also worth noting that the parry move from the Gerbera, the base Gerbera, is right in front of you, as opposed to propelling yourself up in the air, which is actually a thing I much more prefer with its base model, I guess. The Petal Blast is good but situational, and the Stem Ray is again good but situational. Not my favorite breakers, but they look cool, and if you can use it to cap off a fight, it feels good, but it's just not my favorite breakers. Okay, Punchline. Ooh, man, I want to like this weapon better. I want to like this weapon more so bad. This is supposed to be Nero's answer to a real impact, as well as being a movement option for him, comparing this with weapons like Beowulf and what's the one? Gilgamesh and all the other good stuff. I don't need to tell you that. The up and down versions of the breakaway flying rocket punch is cool, but I don't feel like its damage is ever all that high, and because the explosion is delayed, it doesn't feel nearly as good because it doesn't feel like manually detonating somebody. It definitely feels like I'm using a crutch in the middle of a combat encounter, as opposed to just beating the shit out of something with my own hands. And I mean, Nero kind of has to for, your first playthrough, so it does fit. That being said, being able to sail around on it does bring it up a lot of points for me. It's definitely invocative of Dante riding around on a Kalina Ann rocket in DMC3, but now you actually get to do that, and it has its own controls that the game doesn't tell you any of it, and you have to figure it out. They made an entire course surrounding it in DMC5, and it's not at all perfect, but I mean, like, fist rocket surfing. I don't know. Why not have that? Why not at least try to have that? And I can respect that. Helter Skelter. I do actually quite like this. I'm gonna just put that a little bit lower. It's a block breaker drill breaker for Nero. The breakaway attack on it specifically is one that I like using. I just kind of wish it didn't sacrifice the arm in order to do that attack. Alternatively, its main use, it keeps you way too still whenever you use it, and there's no cancelable way to get out of it. You can still jump cancel to get out of it, but it just, there's not really a point unless you commit fully to it, and it doesn't look good mid-combat when you're trying to use it. That being said, blundering a bunch of enemies again with the breakaway does feel good, and I wish there was a way I could do that more reliably without sacrificing it. Okay. So, the Devil Breaker...
Devil Buster.
Devil Buster, yeah, that's the one. I get confused with these a lot.
I love that thing. The attacks are always great.
I do too, but I have a very high suspicion that this is the only time we are going to see this ever make an appearance in Devil May Cry. Because whenever Nero gets his arm back, there's no story significant reason to reintroduce this. It is the strongest attack Nero can ever have in his arsenal. It is a consumable resource that triggers the same grab animations as the regular Devil Breaker does, but now it actually does comparable, considerable damage. You get this kind of late, and it's I think it's supposed to be kind of a red herring that like leads you away to the idea that Nero is going to get his arm back. And I think because of that reason, this breaker is nothing more than a stepping stone in history. Doesn't mean I'm not going to use it. It is absolutely useful, and if I'm doing things like fighting a specific boss or I want to see a specific grab attack, I am going to equip this thing. I do quite like it. It's just I don't see much purpose in it existing past DMC5 in a future game. Okay, this is... Oh, what is your name again?
Ragtime?
No, this is Ragtime.
Oh, fuck. Tomboy?
Tomboy, okay. I know a lot of casual DMC fans like Tomboy quite a lot. I prefer to selectively use this weapon by not using its breakaway version that gives you an infinite use.
Like his animations with it.
I do too. I think it's, again, very good, and it seems like to me a Swordmaster answer for Nero, because it gives you more that you can do with him. It's kind of a gunslinger version too, though, because it amps his blue rose damage a little bit with like a single powerful shot, and it's cool. I like it. You cannot lock on when you're using it. You have to free aim, which is different and weird and doesn't always feel good. But it's kind of cool. And yeah, doing things like the airborne spiral animation and constantly swinging wildly, it definitely fits Nero's character. But I think it could use some tweaking in places, and I don't even really know what I would tweak about it to make it feel better. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I don't know, let's move on. Okay, Rawhide. Rawhide is fine. I don't really see myself using this thing a whole bunch. I typically don't. I'll be honest, I typically don't use Rawhide. Like, ever. It gives you a quote-unquote better grapple by, I think, making it longer and doing a little bit of damage when you grapple.
But whatever.
Yeah, but whatever. Its break attack makes it to where you latch on to an enemy and spiral them around you, which is very Nero, and I do appreciate that. And then its regular attack has, like, a delay combo associated with it, but I just don't really see much of a point in using it. Especially, considering, like, for me, Nero's entire moveset is very utilitarian because he's not as mechanically advanced as like someone like Dante for comparison's sake. And with that being said, I don't see any utility in Rawhide that isn't already covered by the other weapons that Nero has in his arsenal, whether or not they are breakers. I don't need to close the gap because I already have a grapple hook. What's the point of this? I don't get it. Okay, Ragtime. Extremely situational, but it is cool. It gives you a bunch of opportunities for doing different combos with Nero. I kind of wish there was a version of it for Dante and Vergil as well, because having the ability to keep an enemy completely parked for a couple seconds is wickedly powerful.
Right, like yours in throwing his spheres at you and slowing you down.
Yeah. Like, that's cool, and I like it a lot. I just don't prefer how rare this thing is and how expensive it is in the shop. Being expensive does not matter because you're going to be absolutely filthy, stinking rich whenever you beat your first playthrough of the game. But yeah, coming across these things in, like, the main game when you just see them littering the ground kind of feels like finding a Magnum round in Resident Evil, but it's not as powerful, and it asks you, well, you still have to aim first, and it's like, I knew that. You didn't have to tell me that. I don't have very many issues with it. It's just I kind of wish there were more available, basically, in DMC5. That's really where I'm at. Mega Buster. I appreciate the reference. I'm not a Mega Man fan. I like how it changes the death animation, the jump animation. Yep. And, I don't know. It leans a little bit into the joke tier for me, but firing little energy lemons at people is funny, and it's definitely a weapon. I can't I can't say it doesn't do damage. It totally does. It has a charge shot. It works. It's just I don't like it that much. I don't like... Whoops, hold on. We'll put B tier. We'll do B tier. Yeah, I like that. I like that spot for it. I think I like that spot. Okay. Yep. There's no point in using this thing. Sweet Surrender is completely useless and is actually made to be a joke. There's no gameplay benefits this thing provides you unless you're struggling with the game, in which case it doesn't even help you that much, because it doesn't heal that much even if you break it. It's just funny. I appreciate funny.
If you want to sit back for a good 10 minutes and just...
Right, like this is Onimusha 3.
Like, whatever. Really?
It's super weird. I
Go
don't...
kill something, pick up a green orb.
Yeah, I don't just get good. Like, honestly, just run around and fight something. You're gonna get health again as long as you don't die. And you can pay to revive yourself anyway, so just figure it out. Okay. I am not a big fan of Nightmare Beta in Devil May Cry 1.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you might have missed it. It's the only other weapon that is truly missable because it's technically a secret by going to the other side of a platforming puzzle.
Shit.
Yeah, and it's not great. So, man. Well, give me a second to think about it. It doesn't deserve to be any lower than these guys.
Okay.
Because that would be mean. But I will say... The Nightmare Beta, its main problem is that firing anything other than its uncharged shot, for one, it's in DMC 1, so all you can do is fire it. You can't do anything crazy with it. But also, it aggressively consumes Devil Trigger when you are charging the gun.
Oh.
It makes the lasers splinter around and home into other enemies, and it can do some good damage, but I much prefer having the other options in Devil Trigger, including but not limited to having different, being able to use Air Raid or the Whirlwind Spinny, I don't remember what that is, or Inferno or Kick 13 or, the DT version of Kick 13. And also the ability to heal if I'm in danger. If you're using Nightmare Beta, all of that is removed from you because you are using an ammo resource now. Which just seems like a weird leftover from DMC 1 being some version of Resident Evil 4 that they wanted to keep in still. It's just... if you're using Super Dante, it becomes the strongest gun in the game, but at that point you're cheating anyway, so who cares? Who cares? Okay. And then... the poor needle gun.
Fuck.
This little thing is a gun you can only use in underwater.
Top of triple S. No, I'm kidding.
I kind of want to put it there just to be mad, or just to make people mad. Nobody likes the water segments in DMC 1. I'm particularly attached to the water segments in DMC 1 because they're freaky and make me uncomfortable. And
claustrophobia, kinda.
yeah, like definitely, especially with that one secret mission with the blades.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, no, I'm so glad I did not find that when I was a kid. I'll die on that hill. If I were to find that mission as a kid, I would have not been a DMC fan. I would have said nope, I'm good, never again. But nah, I don't know, man. I think if there was any lone weapon that could represent what DMC 1 is in all of its weird, rough ugliness of its unsure, awkward teenage phase, it would be the needle gun. And I just kind of miss it. I don't know. I'm weirdly endeared to this ugly little piece of shit. You get to the... okay. No, I don't want to be mean to you, though, because you're funny. B tier. It's the bottom of B tier, not counting these fuckers. And yeah, that's it. That's everything. This is a big list. This is a huge list.
It was almost 2 hours.
Indeed.
I gotta do a quick video.
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, I'm not really gonna edit this.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I got. So, I'll give you a quick look at everything. I'd say I'm pretty happy with the placements of this list. I don't have very many weapons I could hardcore complain about in the DMC series because I haven't played many of the bad ones. So, in terms of what is here and what does exist, most of them are hits, dude. Like, I don't know. If there's one thing DMC does well, it's combat, it's the weapons, it's their design and how they function. So, I don't think it's surprising that I find most of them to be pretty amazing, if not, then at least competent. And, I don't know, is there really any surprise in that at the end of the day? Like, for the sake of just having it here, I want to put this close by. You make me mad that you don't give me Sparta's DT and Devil May Cry 1 ever unless I'm fighting the final boss, and I need a Game Shark code to be able to do that. Fuck you for that. But other than that, I love you. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here. Let me know how violently angry this list makes you if you somehow watch this giant monster of a video to its completion. And that's going to be it for me. Special thank you as always to the members of the Patreon, Stefan and Ari. If you would like to join the Patreon, membership start at $1 a month. They give you access to things like sneak peeks of videos before they pop out on Friday. I always get hitched at this part. Like, doing the end of this always sucks whenever I do the Patreon shoutouts. Sneak peeks of videos before they come out, and the ability to have me shout your name out at the end of these videos. With that being said, I guess we'll just... I have nothing else to be said about this list, I'm going to be honest. So, I will get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next Friday is going to be something completely different because this is not something I plan to do probably ever again, honestly. But yeah, other than that, I hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoy the video. And that's it.